Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another speed paint rant. So let's get into this because it's a long one and we're going to talk about Butch Hartman. And if you don't know who Butch Hartman is, you might know him from very popular series of your childhood like Danny Phantom and The Fairy Odd Parents. And there's a lot I have to say about this. And I was debating whether I was going to talk about this at all. But I did talk about J.K. Rowling. And I kind of compared the two because, big part of my childhood and then they ruined it. I was like, I kind of wanted to do a video similar to this about J.K. Rowling, but I don't know. Should I? I don't know. But this one, it has been like a hot topic this week because, of course, he did something shitty again. And he's been doing shitty things for years. But I feel like nobody's talking about, well, some people are because I found a bunch of people on Twitter talking about some of this stuff. But like, I feel like a lot of people are focusing on the most recent thing without knowing about like the whole thing that's been happening for years. And if you already know, then good for you. And if you don't, well, maybe you'll find something new here because Butch Hartman is a really shitty person, let me tell you. And I just wanted to sit down and just tell you about it. And if you know something that I don't mention here, please let me know because I just got as much information as I could find. But I'm human, I'm not perfect. And if I say anything incorrect or some of my sources are wrong, then please correct me in the comments very kindly. Because, most of this information I found from other people. Some of it I did read like the direct source of it. You'll see later. But I'll leave the links to all my sources in the description because this is a lot. And I think I should just start like, when we're going to talk about Butch Hartman, I just want to start by talking about his ego. Because his ego, man, this guy, he thinks he's the shit. He thinks so highly of himself. And one of the things he always says, and that I think was one of the first things I heard that he said that rubbed me the wrong way, and that he's always bragging about how he created our childhood because he did things like the Fairy Odd Parents and Danny Phantom. Personally, I would say Fairy Odd Parents was a big part of my childhood. I know at one point I watched it like in three different channels. Like 3 different channels had the Fairy Odd Parents on, and I would just like switch through them. Danny Phantom, I watched almost all of Danny Phantom, but I didn't watch it as much because I was older and it was harder for me to watch TV because I think when Danny Phantom was on, I didn't have my own room. I'm not sure, but and I feel like Danny Phantom didn't have reruns like Fairy Odd Parents still has reruns. I still see it on TV sometimes. But yes, he brags about creating our childhoods, and I don't know, like, I mean, yeah, I was a part of it, but it wasn't like all my childhood. There's like tons of people who created my childhood basically, and he was just like a small fraction of it. And honestly, I wasn't even that young when Fairy Odd Parents was, because I'm an old lady, so, but I still loved Fairy Odd Parents. But anyways, like, other shitty egotistical the word in English? I don't know. He's done over the years, or said over the years, is, I think he said this on Twitch stream or maybe with YouTube stream, I'm not sure. I'll leave the clip because I do have the source for the clip. But he said that you can't critique him because you haven't achieved what he has. So basically, Butch Hartman is immune to critique unless you're better than him. And since he thinks he's the best one, like, basically he thinks nobody should critique him, which is bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna critique a lot of his art in the end of this video because I have opinions about his art. I don't think it's as good as he thinks it is, and we'll talk about that later. Apparently he always plays up his credits too, like if he's a part of a project, he will say his part was bigger than it actually was. He favorites like every single like praising comment someone leaves on any video of him or about him. So if you like just say, oh, Butch Hartman is so hot and amazing and my favorite artist, he will like that, like, even if it's like a random video. I don't know. I haven't seen that. I'm just going, like, I don't have sources for some of this shit. This is some shit I've seen on Twitter. So it might not be true, but I kind of believe it because it sounds like him. And like the final thing that I think is very egotistical of him is he never apologizes about his own mistakes. And apparently he hides behind Bible verses when he does something shitty, or just like he just doesn't acknowledge them. And I think a part of being a good person and a humble person is acknowledging when you make mistakes. And yeah, he just, I mean, I hate when people hide behind religion when they do something wrong, because, I mean, he's not even a good Christian, so. But anyways, we'll talk about his religion a little bit more later. The next shitty thing Butch Hartman has done is to this artist called Kuro, and you might have heard about this, and he has an amazing video of it. I'll link it down below with way more information that I'm gonna say. But just briefly, he owes him like a bunch of money, $1,400 exactly, for an animation of a pilot for a show called Imaginathan. And apparently he was contracted for 5 minutes of fully colored and background animation, and $1,400 is very below standards. If you don't know, like, animation one for 5 minutes, pretty sure that's very below standard. But I think in his video he says like he did it because he thought it would be like good relationships with the animation world, and he already had a stable job, so he didn't mind. And that originally Butch had offered him like $1,200, and they negotiated to $1,400. So he had no respect for him, I feel, from the beginning. You know, if Butch Hartman is someone who has worked for years in the animation industry, he knows the worth of it. You know, he doesn't have any excuse. He's not like a 14-year-old Fortnite streamer wanting to commission $5 emotes. You know, he knows. And after that, like, he ghosted him, and then there was like this whole thing. You should watch his video because it's really good, and he'll do a better job by explaining everything that happened, so I'll leave the link down below. But yeah, that was really shitty, and his crimes just keep escalating. Like, let's just, can someone deplatform Butch Hartman? Because the next thing I'm gonna tell you, wowzers, is just something that I found out this weekend, and I was reading about it, and I was like, how is this a thing that happened and nobody's talking about? Maybe people are, and I just don't run in that circle. Apparently, Mr. Hartman decided he wanted to do a new streaming platform for the whole family with curated content for children and that you can enjoy in family. And he called it Oaxis. I don't know how you pronounce it. Who cares? It's not gonna happen. And he did a Kickstarter for it, and let me tell you, the Kickstarter started in 2018, I think, and it has, as I just checked, 1,290 contributors and has raised over $250,000. And that was 2018. Apparently, I think 2018, he reached his goal, which was in 2050, was 200, I think. Have you ever heard of Oaxis? I can't pronounce that name, I'm sorry. He's written books since 2018. He does live videos, like he streams. He makes YouTube videos, very shitty ones. He does like seminars, which we're gonna talk about later. They're disgusting. You know, he just lives his life, and there's still no Oasis, and there's no sign of it. There's no like a trailer or a list of shows, and there were supposed to be like all original shows. So there's like no sign that Oasis is a real thing, other than the Kickstarter, which is not much. Anyone can do a Kickstarter. Well, can anyone do a Kickstarter? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you have to like create the Kickstarter, and then Kickstarter has to approve it. But other than that, I think anyone can do a Kickstarter, and I don't know. I don't know how Kickstarter works. Someone explain that to me, because I have no idea how Kickstarter works. I've never contributed to one because they're not very friendly for international currency, meaning I have never been able to support someone even though I've wanted to in the past. Anyways, well, you think that the fact that Oasis is not out is like terrible because he stole all of this money? True, it's terrible, but it gets worse because he later admitted, and I'm gonna leave a YouTube video that explained this with way more detail than I could ever, because I'm trying to cover a lot of things here and I just don't want this video to be 20 hours long. But basically he admitted in like a conference, like, you know how I mentioned he does like seminars and conferences. He admitted that Oasis, like, he was advertising it as like this friendly for family and children streaming service, but it was actually gonna be like a secret Christian streaming services. Because according to him, modern streaming services are like just ruining society as it is, because they have nudity and all that. Because you know, if you have like Netflix or any other streaming service, you know there's like a section for kids, but you know there's a section for all the other content. Well, that content is ruining things because, you know, apparently adults are not allowed to watch stuff that isn't Christian friendly. I don't know what even Christian friendly is, because he's not Christian friendly. And think of all the things that were kind of weird about Fairly Odd Parents, but whatever. He's just shitty. Also, like, let me tell you something. Doing a Kickstarter and raising money and then not doing anything, not very Christian of you, Mr. Hartman. You're stealing money. That's not very Christian. But anyways, so he was saying like, streaming services are ruining cultures, blah, 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 blah. So he was secretly making the streaming service Christian, but not telling people, because he knows, like, if someone non-Christian is like, oh, this is a Christian streaming service, people are gonna be like, nah, I'm not Christian. Butch doesn't care about that. He just cares about converting people unwillingly or something like that, because he wanted to keep it a secret so non-Christians would watch and have their kids watching them. And then there would be like all this Christian content there that maybe the parents weren't so aware of, all this fucked up indoctrination. I don't know. And also, he said something about like, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about this, but he said he thinks that suicide and depression weren't a thing when he was younger, and that it's like a thing now that everyone's suicidal and depressed. Like, what the fuck? And I'm saying this because our next topic is suicide, and if you're sensitive about that, just like skip ahead quite a bit, because I mean, what he said is just, oh my god, I wanted to cry when I saw this clip. I'll leave the link to the clip in the description. Be cautious, because I mean, it's not like sensitive, but I personally like just felt horrible listening to it. But basically it's an interview with Tara Strong, voice actress Tara Strong, on his podcast, I think it is. And if you don't know Tara Strong, she's like a super famous, like one of the most recognizable voice actresses out there. And she's the voice actress of Tina Turner, amongst like other characters, like for example Bubbles or Harley Quinn. You know, she's like super popular. I love her. I love Tara Strong. But anyways, it's an interview with her in the podcast. And let me tell you, this podcast is not live. Like, he recorded this and then looked at it and it was like, oh, this is fine and dandy, let's just post it. Because they started talking about how she's the voice actress of Timmy, but she hasn't always been the voice actress of Timmy. The original voice actress of Timmy in the pilot was Mary Kate Bergman, who was another very popular voice actress. She voiced like a lot of the female characters in South Park as well. She committed suicide, and you know what Mr. Hartman did? Blamed Tara Strong for her suicide. Just don't understand, because like, and he laughs, and you can see Tara being so uncomfortable in that video. That's basically what I had a hard time watching, is just like, oh my god, I felt horrible for her. I felt horrible for Mary Kay Bergman. Oh my god, don't do that. Don't make suicide jokes. It's not funny. For starters, according to him, suicide wasn't a thing when he was young. I don't know. There's no excuse, honestly. Don't make suicide jokes, and he's a terrible person for doing that, but it's just a lot. Then we have, oh my god, he apparently does like this vision coaching things. It's called Vision Possible coaching, I think, and he does this with Juliana Hartman, his wife. I'll leave a link down below to the Vision Possible conference website. Don't do this, please. Don't pay money to Butch Hartman for this, but he charges $2,000 a phone call, and he supposedly coaches you to make your project successful. $2,000 a phone call. And let's just go back and think of what we talked before about Oaxis and the artist Kuro. And I'm just gonna say, Butch Hartman might not be the person you're looking for advice. If he makes a Kickstarter about a streaming service and then it just never happens, maybe he's not the best person to help you in your project success. And you know, $2,000 a phone call. What the fuck is that? Like, do people do that? Like, through phone calls? Like, not even a video conference? It's definitely a scam, just like Oaxis was a scam. So the next thing we're going to talk about is his anti-LGBTQ stance. And this is from like an interview he did. I'll leave the link down below to the interview. I'll leave the link down below to everything, to the interview. But I just want to read a few things he said on this interview, so you get an idea, because you can get a clear idea of his position about, you know, same-sex couples in here. And it says that, I'm going to read this word by word. I'm quoting here. Not my opinion. This is Butch Hartman. God designed couples to be together so children could have the influence of both men and women when they get older. A lot of people are going to kill us for saying this, but it's like that's just the way it's supposed to be. And then later on he says, you know, a boy or a girl without both parental models to follow will suffer in some way. Now, can you survive that way? Of course you can, but is it ideal? Is it the ideal way to survive? Of course it's not the ideal way to survive. So we do our best to try and keep people together as much as we can, only because we came from a chaotic situation. Excuse me? Like, so we're saying, like, the only way a child can have a healthy life is if it has a mother and a father? I don't believe that. I believe that you can have two moms. I believe that you can have one mom. I can believe you can be a single dad. I believe you can be a single uncle and be a good parent. Because, you know, parenting is hard, and you can have two parents, you can still have a shitty childhood. It's not like a thing that you have a mom and a dad and you're gonna have a good childhood. That's not how it works. It all depends on the parent. It all depends on the person. And that's just super shitty thing to say, because so many people come from, you know, single parent homes or from same-sex parents homes. And some people, I don't know, come from like poly families. Like they have multiple moms, multiple dads. And not even that, like, there's so much to take into account into this, because like the members of your family have nothing to do with how your life is. Your life depends on so much. How your childhood depends on so many things. And a single parent, same-sex parents, any kind of parents, as long as they're good parents and they're able to provide, just be good parents. You're going to have a good child. It's not a chaotic situation if you have like same-sex parents. That's just, but like, what can you expect of Butch Hartman? He apparently sides with evangelicals and helps fund their Bible studies. And like, they're very anti-LGBT, so not shocking at all that he doesn't condone same-sex couples. And I didn't find like any actual like screenshots of this, but I read a lot of people talking about this. There used to be forums about his shows, and people will be in the forums. If you chipped any same-sex characters, you would get banned. So I don't know. That's pretty shitty. Apparently, he would just ban that kind of things because it went against his Christian morals. Which, once again, what Christian morals? You stole money from people. You told someone that they were to blame for someone's death. Like, that's just, there's no Christian morals there. But whatever. One of the things that pissed me off that I found out this weekend too is about something he calls Healing Journeys conferences. And basically he has this conference, once again, next to his wife. In this conference, they claim that they can cure life-threatening illnesses such as autism, not an illness, fibromyalgia, bipolar, PTSD, self-harm, heart and kidney failure, multiple sclerosis, among others. And you can read this. I'll leave the link down below for Healing Journeys. This is like, I got this list of things out of that page. Some of those things are not life-threatening illnesses. That's not it. It's not like they are like, oh, we have these doctors that are going to help you with this. Oh, no. No doctors are involved. Only God is involved. Because according to them, you can cure all of those things with the power of worship and prayer. So, a few things. With autism is not an illness. You cannot cure autism. There's nothing wrong with autism. So, just... Now, fibromyalgia, apparently, supposedly, his wife had fibromyalgia and she got cured with the power of worship and prayer. But I was reading somewhere else that she never, like, actually got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Is it fibromyalgia or fibromyalgia? I don't know. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But apparently she never got diagnosed. Some doctors thought she might have that. And then she got better. She probably didn't have that, because fibromyalgia, from what I know, is terrible and it has no cure. Bipolar, PTSD, self-harm, you cannot cure those. You need therapy, you need medication, you need things to help you out with that. Heart and kidney failure, multiple sclerosis, those are really like terrible illnesses, and you need doctors, you need medications. You cannot cure those things with the power of worship and prayer. And the fact that he's luring people, or they're luring people, because his wife is complicit in this, with this kind of shit, it's just so dangerous. Some of these people might die from not getting proper care. And I was reading that apparently, like, they take parents that have kids with autism, and they describe it like the most awful thing ever, and like these kids are monsters, and like they're just the worst, and that they need to be cured. And it just pisses me off so much because, oh my god, things with autism, I'm very sensitive because I have many friends with autism. I've worked with kids with autism in the past, and they're just like people, and they're very nice, and as children sometimes they can be a little extra work, but as a parent, that's your job. You have kids, and you're their parent, and you love them, and it might be hard sometimes, and I'm not saying it's not hard to have a kid with autism. I don't know that firsthand, but I have friends, and I've worked with kids with autism in the past, like I just said, and sometimes you need some extra work, you need patience, but it's worth it because they're amazing kids, and that they take these parents and just like treat their poor children like those children should be taken away from their parents. Oh my god, take them away, because that must be so traumatizing for them, and I can't imagine what kind of life they lead if they're being treated like this. It just pisses me off so much. All of this pisses me off so much. But to finish this, I want to talk about the thing that kind of brought all of this to light recently, and it was Butch Hartman's commissions. So I think Butch Hartman's commissions are terrible. I usually would never critique an artist. I would never critique an artist like this. If I don't like their art, I would just not follow them and just ignore it. It's not for me, is how I would say. But since he is this horrible person, I don't feel bad. So I think his art is terrible. I don't think it looks good. I think he needs to cool it on the Gaussian blur in the backgrounds. It's terrible. I use Gaussian blur a lot, let me tell you a bit. But the big controversy this past week was about him tracing a Ranma commission that he charged $200 for. $200 for a trace commission, and I'll leave the video. I mean, I might show the video now. I don't know. If I can, I don't know how to do that. And last time I tried to show a video, my video wouldn't render because of that video, so I can't promise that the video will be here. But yeah, it's a $200 Ranma commission. Now let me get this straight. $200 for a commission. I'm not complaining about the price. I think I think you give value to your commissions, and if you think your art is worth $200, more power to you. That's amazing. I think that should be the standard. I wish I could sell my commissions for $200, but I can't, unfortunately. So I'm not complaining about the $200 price. I'm also very open to people tracing, because I think tracing is a great tool to learn. So I think if you're starting as an artist and you're having some kind of, troubles with anatomy, troubles with shading, tracing can be a great tool to learn. I personally learned a lot about dimension tracing. I would trace, I would convert pictures to black and white or grayscale, and I would trace the values, and I would learn about depths and where shadows go, where light goes with tracing. And that's like a great tool for me personally to learn about dimension and shapes and where light hits and where shadow lays. All of that, I think it's a great tool to learn. And I think it's also a great tool for learning anatomy. I've said this before. I like when I'm trouble with a pose and I have a reference. I like putting the reference in Clip Studio and just drawing on top of it. It's not tracing per se, but drawing on top of it and like tracing where the angles go, where the legs go, and see like how the shape is formed and how the perspective works and all of that. I think it's a great tool for learning. But tracing a commission is a whole other ball game, because someone is paying you $200 in that, which is no pocket cash. Someone's paying you for original art, and you have to see this trace. If I can put a video up, I'll put a picture Oh my god, so disrespectful to trace and sell it and give it to someone as something original, because they pay for that, because they want it and they like your art style. And in Butch Hartman's case, I'm guessing they're big fans of him because he did some amazing shows in our childhood. And I just think it's terrible that someone with such a big name would just like, I feel like he just, has he even said anything about it? Because I've been waiting to see if he said something about it, and I haven't seen anything. I don't follow him on Twitter though, so I just checked on his Twitter and I didn't see anything about that. So he probably just doesn't care. He thinks he's above it. He thinks it's just like, who cares, you know? I mean, he stole money from a Kickstarter, so what can we expect? What can we expect? But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here because, you know, I'm very angry. I don't know, like, there's just so many bad things. I think someone like that shouldn't have the platform they have. He has so many people that maybe don't know these things. And I'm not saying don't go and commission him or don't go, you know, whatever. You see what you do. But I mean, I'll never watch the Fairy Odd Parents the same way. And I don't know what to tell you. I just hate, because I feel like he's taking advantage of people. And I don't know if he's traced any other commissions, but let me tell you, his other commissions are ugly. I'm sorry. Have you seen that Dib commission? It's so ugly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't critique art like that, but it's ugly. I think most of the ones I've seen are ugly. I don't think I've seen one and I've been like, wow, that's so amazing. I wish I could draw like that. None of them. So I just think these are things people should know before they pay him $200, because you shouldn't support that kind of people. You shouldn't give money to that kind of people. You shouldn't give him money for a Kickstarter, because oh my god, he stole all that money. I'm so sorry if you like just were a big fan of his work and you gave money and then he did what he did. Please don't give him money to coach you on your project. And I think the whole healing journey thing is free. But just don't go to that either, because go to a doctor. I know I am the first one to say not all doctors are good, and I've had terrible experiences with doctors as a woman especially. But you know yourself, and you'll maybe someday find a good doctor, because I did. I found a good doctor, and I hope you find a good doctor too. And that's all I have to say. I'm like sweating. I'm sorry this video is so long. There was just a lot to cover. If you want to see anything like this about anyone else, let me know. Even though this took me like the whole weekend to investigate, because I'm not good at investigating and summarizing things and then telling them to you. This is not my forte, but I kind of enjoy it. I don't know. It's like a thing that I'm not good at, but I enjoy, which is like another video. That's another video. Yeah, thank you for watching, and just let me know what you think about all this, and if you're as disappointed in Mr. Hartman as I was years ago when I heard that he was a shitty person. And please watch some of the videos. I know I left Kuro's video and I left another video. I forgot the name because I'm terrible with names, but just watch those videos because they have way more information than I did. And if you want, if you don't want, you don't have to. I'm not forcing you. I'm just saying they're like really good videos. And I'll see you next time. Bye.